Brother Jafar Bala Magaji, it's a long name, but that would be sufficient to say Jafar Bala. He says, what are the factors that nullify the essence of kalimatu shahada in our contemporary period? Okay. Kalimatu tawheed, the word of the oneness of Allah, is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Pronouncing this word while believing in it would make the person a believer. And in order to believe in something, you have to really understand what it means. Not anyone who would say it, just repeat it like a parrot, would earn its virtues. The Prophet ﷺ said, he whosoever's last statement in life will be La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah shall enter paradise. If a non-Muslim was asked to say La ilaha illallah, and he said, okay, La ilaha illallah, what it means, I don't know. It sounded nice. Somebody just said, say it and you'll be in a better condition. So I said it, some sort of amulet or ta'weed. It won't be sufficient. So, مُخْلِصًا مِنْ قَلْبِ, sincerely from his heart, he knows what it means, he believes in it. Any practice, whether concerning the actions of the heart, the tongue, or the body parts, would contradict the actual meaning which is contained in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, will nullify tawheed and will nullify the kalima and would nullify the person's Islam at large. When I say tawheed, means monotheism. Monotheism, you can refer to Islam as monotheistic faith. You can call it Deen al-Tawheed, Deen al-Fitra, the religion of the sound, pure nature, the religion of the unity of the Lord, the unity of worship, the unity of the names and attributes of Allah, the only one who's worthy of worship. Any action which will contradict that would nullify the Tawheed, and the person would be perceived as a non-believer. Take for instance, you say La ilaha. Number one, nullification of the presence of any God, illallah, except one true God. So there is only one God. That is the first part of the statement La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. If any person believes in any other than Allah or besides Allah as God, or has a power similar to the power of God, or runs any of the affairs of God, then he is a mushrik. A mushrik is a person who associates partners to Allah in worship or in the creation. So worship, the ibadah, should be paid exclusively to Allah, the only one who is worthy of worship. Accordingly, those who turn to other than Allah with any of the acts of worship, even by taking them as means of approach to Allah, they nullify the essence of the word of the oneness of Allah. I mean, some of the acts of worship are not like, the physical exercise of the prayers of fasting or Hajj. Rather, it could be by the heart. It could be by putting your trust in Allah alone. Asking, invoking Allah and asking from Allah alone. That is called the prayer or dua. If anyone was to invoke other than Allah, even by taking that entity or deity as a mean of approach, like asking from any person to fulfill something which you know that only Allah can fulfill, you believe that He is an intermediary, or He can communicate in your behalf, on your behalf with Allah. That's called an act of setting partners to Allah in worship. Islam is very simple. Communicate with Allah directly, pray and invoke Him alone and directly without any intermediary. Now there is no excuse for any person to say, I didn't know, because we've been explaining forever. And I hope we can propagate the message and let everybody know that La ilaha illallah means none should be worshipped other than Allah the Almighty. No human being, no prophets, nor angels whatsoever. Another very interesting action which would nullify monotheism, because these acts are many, but I will just refer to a few, because the brother said of our contemporary time. Once I met a very educated person, a high ranking officer, and he said that, why some people say that Christians and Jews are non-believers? I said, what? He said, yeah, why do we believe that they will not go to heaven? They are like, they believe in God too, and so on. One thing we need to clarify, that number one, whether Jews or Christians or the followers of any faith, they believe that only the followers of their faith will be saved, will receive salvation, and will be entitled to enter heaven. Others will not enter paradise. So this is not something that Muslims are very unique in its regard. No, as a matter of fact, the Jews believe that neither Muslims nor Christians will enter paradise. And Christians believe that neither Jews nor Muslims will enter paradise, and so on. So non-Muslims perceive Muslims in their eyes, in their belief, as non-believers, which we're okay with that. Why? Because this is what Allah the Almighty said in the Quran. He said, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. Please review this chapter, which is known as Surah Al-Kafirun. O Muhammad, tell the non-believers because they don't believe in Allah as we do, okay? And they perceive us as non-believers as well, according to their belief. Tell them what? لا أعبد ما تعبدون. I ain't worshiping what you worship. ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. And you are not worshiping what I worship. Of course they are not, but this is what they offer. They offer Prophet Muhammad, let's make a deal, that you stop criticizing our gods, the idols, and we stop criticize your God. That's a win-win situation. We respect yours, you respect ours, and we worship them all. But sorry, that's called setting partners to Allah in worship. So even if you decided to respect my God, Allah, and if you decided to believe in Allah, but not alone with your false deities, then you're non-believers as well. You are not believers. وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ. Nor will I worship what you worship in the future. And another confirmation and emphasis, وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ. Nor will you ever worship what I worship, unless if you disown all the false deities and you begin with the nullification of the presence of any God other than Allah, La ilaha, then illallah. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. For you is your religion, and for me is my own religion. So he called paganism, idolatry, a religion. They worship something. They worship idols, so that is a religion. But for us, it's a false belief and it's a false religion. When a Muslim believes that a person have the right to worship whatever he wants to worship, and we're all okay, and we're all fine, and we're all believers, and we're all saved, he nullified the act of Tawheed. He himself is in doubt with what he believes in. He's in doubt in the oneness of Allah, because if you believe that whoever believes in whatever, even if he worships a tree, worships a human being like Jesus, worships whatever, that's fine, and they are believers, and like us exactly, everybody will go to heaven. Everybody is driving in a different vehicle but on the same highway, reaching the same destination. That belief and whatever results in as a result of this belief, such as talking about it in his speeches, in a conversation, and believing in that, would turn the person into a non-believer, because he does not truly believe in the meaning of La ilaha illallah. Then come to Muhammadur Rasulullah. If any person has a problem with the word Muhammadur Rasulullah, then he is not a believer, no matter how many times he says Muhammadur Rasulullah. And how would a person have a problem with that statement? One, believing that there will be a prophet, or there have been a prophet, after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the person is a non-believer right away, no matter what he does. Believing that any of the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is not efficient, nor is it sufficient or effective for our today's world. Or was it only good back then and it is not really adequate to be practiced nowadays? That will nullify the act of Tawheed, even if the person prays and fasts and acts like Sufi mystic. But he believes that the Sunnah, the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is deficient, and it is not really effective to work throughout the time. Knocking at any of the acts, the rules, the commands of the Sharia, and criticizing the orders of Allah, denying any word, any letter of the Quran of what Allah the Almighty has stated, is definitely an act which would nullify at-Tawheed. As I said, that there are many, but the brother was very specific, and he said, brother Jafar, in our contemporary time. By that